we're always a little bit disappointed that things don't go as far as we like. At the same time, it's, you know, given the number of interests and stakeholders here, it really is incredible the progress is made each year. It's too slow, it's too incremental, but, you know, I do think as you look back at the arc of COPs, that there has been steady progress, some years more than others. So I try to not take home with too much that negative mindset. And I will say the vibe so far of this one has been very positive. I think the Brazil presidency did a really good job of framing this as a what they call the implementation COP, recognizing that lots of the national determined contributions, these are country level plans that outline both how countries will reduce their emissions and also what they will do to try and adapt to climate change. Those have all been due this year, and a lot are in, some are being finalised. But that really puts the emphasis then on sort of the execution, the implementation. What are we going to do? And that's a much more constructive space, I find. And there's a lot of momentum and excitement around, like, let's get to work, implementing these and sharing ideas and figuring out how to do that. So there is some positive energy around some of that. There's also, I was a little skeptical initially, as I'm sure many were, about hosting an event like this essentially in the Amazon, right? Belém, which is a real serious sized city, but it is hard to get to. It's in the Amazon, and there's, you know, obviously some questions around that. But the proximity to one of the most important ecosystems, if not the most important ecosystem for climate action, has really brought a lot of that flavour in. You know, you can feel that proximity. There's lots of actors from indigenous communities here. It brings a certain tangible vibe to the discussions around tropical forest protection and reforestation and ecosystem protection that is quite a central part of this COP. Of course, there are lots of sticking points. There's already growing frustration among some of the least developed country groups and some of the developing country groups around certain agenda items, and you know, a lot of growing pressure on the wealthier nations to, you know, get serious about paying up and meeting their legal obligations. That will continue throughout the next 10 days for sure, and will lead to frustrations on all sides, I'm sure, as we get through. But overall, at this point in the process, I'm feeling pretty positive.